Well, hello everybody. My name is Dr. JD Swanson. I'm the author of Karate Science, for those who don't know me. And today what I want to talk about is I want to talk about timing of technique and an important principle. And this came out of a discussion I saw in one of the online classes this past weekend, where it was one of Scott Langley's class. He was describing that there is no difference between Gyakuzuki and Oizuki. There are some differences in terms of how the technique goes and how the feet actually fit. But in terms of timing and impetus of the technique, he's exactly right. They are exactly the same, right? And as well. So what I want to do is I want to talk about that with reference to timing, and in particular Oizuki and the idea of distance. So without further ado, let's get started. Us. Good. So let's warm up. All I want you to do from here is just stepping back, make Zenkutsudachi, stepping in, making Oizuki however you do it, and I don't really care. So stepping in, nice and relaxed, step forward, punch, then from here, step back, shift, punch, step back, shift, punch, step back, shift, punch. So just that nice stepping. Here, step in, 1, 2, shift, 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 that feeling. So give that a go, 20, 30 reps, just to warm up. Press pause, rip into it. Excellent. Okay, now from here what I want you to do is we're going to block down, make Garambai Gyakuzuki. So 1, 2. Now from here, making shift, 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 shift. That feeling. Give that a go. Again, 20, 30 reps. However you do it, rip into it. Excellent. Now there's something that's really important about that drill. Number one, when you do the Oizuki drill, for both, let's start there. For both those drills, something that's really important, and this is fundamental to all karate. You must always, never, as you shift back, not place hit, not place hit. You know that. If not, bad karateka. The other one is Gyakuzuki. Here, it's not up, place, hit. Up, place, hit. Up, place, hit. Right? Be very aware of that. What you want ideally is to hit, depending on what, or no matter which one you're doing, that you pull back, together, back, together. Same thing with Gyakuzuki, back, together. Back, together, that feeling. So make sure, what I want you to do is I want you to go through, practice both those, and make sure that you're timing, hands, feet, boom, together. And what I want you to do for today is time it off the front leg. The front leg and the punch should hit together, because I'm going to change that story in a minute. Give it a go. Excellent. Now, the next thing I want you to do with that same drill is really think about the driving leg. This leg, or this leg, whichever one is your rear leg, and I want you to think about the action of that leg as it drives. So what you'll often see, or quite often see with some people, and I was like this for about 15 years, is that they will be here, they will pull back, they will hit, and then their back leg fires. They pull back, they hit, and then their back leg fires. What you want to do is you want all of your energy to be driven off that back leg, whether it's Gyakuzuki or Oizuki, doesn't matter. Make sure that it drives together with the technique. The other thing that's important here as well is pay attention to that rear leg and the orientation of the hips. In a Chokazuki position, not Kazami, but in basic straight punch, whether it's Gyaku or Oizuki, you want your hips to land in a squared position, not open. So as you do, especially Oizuki, be very cognizant that as you step, that you're not and just letting this hip go. Rather push in, push under. So each time, as well as driving off that back leg, really drive off it, drive into your bum, into your butt, to push this hip forward as you step. So you end up here, you pull back, drive, and slam that hip closed. Gyakuzuki is much easier because you've already got the impetus with this arm. In Oizuki, you can be lazy. So think here. The way you can check as if I'm here and I go, and it's floppy, you're not connected. Turn around, now solid. This is what you want. So what I'd like you to do is try Oizuki, Gyakuzuki. Practice both the timing. Really think about that rear leg. Doing, driving in. Doing, driving in each time. Push, push, push. Give that a go. Excellent. Okay, so we've got these fundamentals. Now, at the end of the day, if I'm not just doing a push-up on somebody, which is just all arms, all I have to do is I have to hit the person. The reason why it's our front leg together is I want to make contact with the human I'm going to hit at any point, or as my center body is moving forward. I don't want, and the big reason that we don't do this sort of place and then hit, is that remember that your momentum, my fat 195, 200 pounds, as that moves forward, I don't want to lose that momentum that I've generated through my legs. I want to connect what my legs are doing in terms of driving my body weight forward with the punch. And the way that this was described to me when I was very, very young was this idea that I'm sitting on top of a train and I'm throwing a stone. So what I want to do is I want to be on that train and hit them with the stone, with the weight of the train. That's the feeling that you want, right? Not just stand there and just throw a stone, not drive the train up, slam the brakes on and throw the stone. I want to be on the train throwing the stone. That's the feeling that you want. So, and again, it's that connection of mass and acceleration, right? Or mass and velocity. It's that idea of combining the two together. So it's very important that you drive your center and make the use of all of that as it goes in. All of that as it goes in. All of that as it goes in. You want that feeling, okay? If you don't have that, things can't work. So what I want you to do is practice it again. Make doubly sure that as you move, your body weight and your technique are timed together. And if you notice, this is a theme of pretty much every single karate lesson I ever teach, is this idea of body connection with the technique. And this is also, you can feel it through the makawara, you can feel it through hitting a wall. Don't hit a wall, but standing there and just feeling here and connecting in. Just this, that feeling, pump, that power, right? It's about the connection from the driving or the rear leg to this fist. Go practice that, and now we'll talk about timing. Very good. So what I want you to do first up is I want you to just make kamae, and from here, using the rear leg to drive, just making gyakuzuki. So feeling, good timing, rotate the hips, punch, together. Not 1, 2, rather 1, 1, push, push, 1. Good, 2, good, 3, good. Now from here, make oizuki from this position. Stepping forward, 4. Right, so what we have is we have this idea of 1, 2, 3. Try again. 1, 2, 3. Good. And so what I'd like you to do is simply practice that drill. Now what I would like you to do for this one is from here, think good timing, good timing, good timing. Right? All I want is I want your hand and your front leg with the gyakuzuki, hand and hip must finish. Hand and hip must finish together. Whatever the timing of this hand is in the oizuki, just leave it at that, because we're going to cognizantly change that in a second. So practice gyakuzuki, gyakuzuki, oizuki. Gyakuzuki, gyakuzuki, oizuki. And really be cognizant of your timing and the drive of that rear leg and the squareness of your hips. Give it a go. Make sure you do both sides. Excellent. So the difference then, in terms of the intent of my gyakuzuki versus oizuki, is simply where my opponent is. This is my opponent right here. All I'm doing is I'm cognizant of when and where I hit them. If I'm in gyakuzuki and if I'm doing it from not a jiu where I'm shifting about, that also adds to this, yeah? But if I'm doing it where I'm in the strict feet stuck to the ground, Kihon type feeling, if I'm here, I must be in straight distance. Straight distance. If I'm in Oizuki range, I have all of this range to go. I can choose which distance I want, right? And so the difference between me doing Gyakuzuki and Oizuki is simply where my human is relative to me. So what you have, if you stick this to our normal classic karate, all I have is I have this distance and I have this distance. But the question then comes in, what about if I'm in between? Now, what's really important is you must establish where this distance is and be accurate, and where this distance is and be accurate first. And then what you can do is you can adapt whether you're doing Gyakuzuki to Oizuki at any point. Right? So, what I want you to think about is from here we're going to change our timing of our technique. Because what I argue, as long as our hips become square and as long as this makes the correct shape, where my chest is connected, my back is able to connect for those few milliseconds that it needs to, and I'm able to compress, because guess what? I can compress. I can walk towards you, and as long as my center is firing, I can still hit you. And my legs can move independent to my legs and what my upper body's doing. All good technique. And now I've got all of my body weight behind me. So what I want you to do is this. We're going to make from here Gyakuzuki, Gyakuzuki. And what I want you to do is I want you to think, as soon as this leg hits, fire the technique. As long as you make the correct shape with the hips square, the rear leg driving, the punch in the correct position, you don't have to be at the end of the technique. That's your perfect place. But the world isn't perfect. So, change the timing to 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. This feeling. Give that a go. So now you're firing and then you land late. That's okay. I'll show you why. Good, so you've given that a go. Now let's change the timing again. 1, 2, 3. So hold the punch back. Ready? 1, 2, hold, go! Notice that this technique still executes as my body expands. Yeah, it's not place hit, it's hold out there. That feeling. So my technique lands a split second before my feet land. Give that timing a go. I have one more for you. Excellent. So the last one, 1, 2, together. So what I'm doing here is 1, 2, now technique just moves with the arm. 1, 2, 3. This feeling. Give that one a go. Excellent. So what we have now is we have 3 basic ideas. And again, I'm showing you kind of the extremes because this is not pot, pot, pot. It's basically a gauge. You can change. It's grey. From white to black. All the greys that you can imagine between in terms of your timing. So you can now think, 1, 2, our first timing early. As long as I make shape before I hit. Right? Second timing. 1, 2, hold up, go. Third timing. 1, 2, body up, through. Good classic karate timing. Try all 3, see if you can bounce between them. Excellent. So, when would you use one of those over the other? The answer is it depends. Right? If I'm here, Gyakuzuki, I'm nice and close, well, obvious, right? Stretching out, oh, obvious. You know this. If they're too far away from my stretched out Gyakuzuki, What do I do next? Well, this is where I need to step. If they're super duper out, they're just out of my stretching range, I can cover it here. If they're miles away, 1, 2, I can use this one. If they're in my perfect range, then I can go step and hit. It depends. But if you notice, there is no difference between 1, 2, 3, 4 in terms of what my body is doing with Gyakuzuki all the way through to Oizuki. And that's the point of this class. That's the idea, is that you can play with these. So the last question I can see you all asking, because it's a big no-no, is this idea of, well, wait a minute, if you punch early and this is still here, well, that's kind of silly. The cool part about this is if you can make connection mid-technique, you can throw multiple techniques per step. And I've noticed some organizations are actually introducing this into grading syllabi. So the idea here now is 1, 2, then throw to this kind of technique. 1, 2, 3, 4. This kind of idea. So what you can start to do is you can start to slot multiple techniques into the single step, because your legs move independently. They do not necessarily, as long as your body mass is moving forward and you can make the shape, the connection from here through your bum and your hips and your center and your body and your shape of your upper body, as long as you can connect that in, your legs are just powering you forward. For a gross analogy, it's kind of like I'm doing this, and don't laugh too hard. It's almost that is the feeling, but not that. With solid, good karate technique. This is the idea, and this is the way that you can start to play with that. So with that, that's all I have for today. I hope you have an awesome day. Practice those, give it a go, and I'll talk to you all later. Take care. Hey? Us.